Okay, welcome back to the podcast. It's been quite a day so far. I am a little bit tilted right now. I just got stopped out to my stop was at 45.75. Price went to 45.50 and then reversed straight to my take profit. I had my stop under all the 5 minute wicks. It was floating. I accepted that risk, but I also I felt like I had plenty of lines of defense, especially after my add-in. I nearly doubled my position size with the add-in, so I had to keep that tight, and that stings really bad because you know I've been able to find a lot of acceptance in the losses recently when there's something I can learn from it. For example, yesterday I finalized my trailing stop strategy. And especially trading this cash account, I'm like even more focused on just learning from losses and maximizing my winners. So like this would have been my biggest win by a solid amount, and now it's also my largest loss. But on this trade, I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I can learn from it right now. I'm not in the right mindset, but I did everything right. I followed my process, and it just stings, and that is part of trading. Welcome, Dan. And how's your trading been today?
Um, Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. For me, I'd taken today off and I took yesterday off as well, just because I had a green day Monday, green day Tuesday. I'm actually very green on the month so far, which is great. I've not actually traded a massive amount this month actually because I was on holiday for a time and I had work commitments as well. But the days I've traded this month have been green, which has been great. And just because of my day job and because of other things going on, I just decided yesterday and today just to take a bit of a break, take a reset, just proper look after myself, just make sure that I'm staying as fresh as possible because I've tried it before. I've tried it before where I don't feel like, maybe I've had a bad day at work or I'm just really tired. And then I've tried to jump on and force it and I've just burnt. And you know what? Even when I win on those days, it really doesn't feel the same satisfaction as it does when you're feeling 100% and you're performing and you're on top of your game. So for me, it was just really important for these last couple of days just to take a bit of a break and a bit of a reset, and I'm glad I did.
Mm, very nice to hear. Well, so I think we know you through the ASFX group, right? You're not, I don't think you're in it anymore, but we definitely connected through ASFX, if I remember correctly.
Yes, correct. So
And
I
Twitter.
actually I have you guys like I have ASFX on in my ear every day. Like so I am trading, I've learned my entries and VWAPs and all that through ASFX, but then sort of how I manage my trades and my risk management and all that sort of good stuff, I've sort of developed on my own and sort of found my own sort of way. But I like having ASFX in my ear because it trading feels proper lonely sometimes, and I think it's just nice just to hear those voices, even if they're not responding back to me. And here I am, like I'm trading, I'm giggling away at things that have been said on the stream and stuff. That my wife sitting next to me is like, "What the hell is he laughing at?" But it's just nice just to have that sort of audio in my ear because it can be proper lonely trading sometimes. So that's how I know you guys. I mean, Randy, I know you're on the stream quite a lot these days as well. So I'm hearing you a lot, which is great. But that's how I got into ASFX. Like I found ASFX like 2024, something like that, summer 2024. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think I found I don't like we must have connected on I call it Twitter, but it's obviously X when I was on there for like a brief period of time before I was like, I gotta get out of this. This is like horrendous. But you were like a nice, clear, normal voice, like you were obviously a good person just trying to learn trading and sharing your journey. And so I think that's how I had originally found you. And you're a teacher, right, Dan?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you do all your trading plus you have a full-time job.
Yeah, it because I'm a school teacher in Abu Dhabi, and because
Mhm.
of the time differences, it actually works out beautifully trading the New York session for me. So
So what
like
time is that?
the
Yeah.
So for me, it's 5:30 p.m. is when the New
amazing.
York market opens.
Yeah.
So it's really perfect for me because I'll teach during the day. I'll be home 3:30 p.m., 4 p.m., something like that. That means I can get home, I can have dinner with the wife, watch a bit of TV, chill and relax first. And then when I'm getting onto the charts, I'm calm, collected, and ready to go, sort of thing. I've tried different strategies before. Like I even dipped into ICT like a couple of years ago and stuff, and I was trying to trade like what would have been 8:30 p.m. New York time. So I was literally like getting home, opening up the laptop, trying to place a trade, catch that turtle soup sort of trade, and it just wasn't working for me. It was too much of a rush. It just didn't feel comfortable. I was just fitting everything around it, and then just you've got to make sure that when you are trading, it's got to fit. What's the? I don't want to say it the wrong way around. You've got to fit your life around trading. I think I put that the right way around, and I think that is really important. And I've managed to find that sweet spot with trading the New York Open, waiting for the 15 minutes opening range to set, and then that makes me feel proper calm, waiting then for my subs.
Very cool.
That's funny because that actually reminds me quickly of just like how Dan was talking about time zones and like how I went to Thailand and I thought I was just going to trade from Thailand and it was going to be the coolest thing ever. And the New York session was 9:30 p.m. open, so I didn't trade that. I ended up trading Asian and just getting my ass handed to me for like 3 days straight. That I was like, what am I doing? And then that's when I realized, I think Austin said, he's like, people learn to trade to travel, not trade while they're traveling. Like I'm traveling now and I'm trading, but this is much different. I'm set up here like I'm at home. So it's definitely finding that, fitting your life around trading versus forcing trading. It's like putting a square peg into a circle, into a round hole, right? And I think that's when if you try to force trading to fit your life, you're going to get into that trouble. So it's definitely finding a bit of that balance.
I was actually thinking about you, Randy, and your Thailand experience the other day because we're planning our trip to Japan, and Megan was like, "So are you going to trade?" And I was like, "I want to," but then I saw in Japan it doesn't open until 10:30, and I was like, "Nope, I'm not." And excuse me. And then it really just made me think about like peak performance athletes and recovery time, because I was thinking I really don't want to take 3 weeks off of trading. But then when I thought about it, I was like, well, my parents are teachers, Dan. So teachers have a summer, athletes have an off season, traders have a summer, a Christmas. So like being able to see it this way, where I'm going to be leaving in like end of February, March time of next year, this is the season. This is the grind season for the next 5 months. And then I'll go take my month off and go enjoy that time. But for now, I'm really getting right back into it. And I've been thinking a lot about trading, a lot about strategy, and I've been able to like really define my setups really well over the last week and a half, maybe more like 3 weeks, but really like a nice checklist with some really clear definition of what my setups are. And that's given me so much clarity on what the proper process is. And your trading, Dan, how do you incorporate process over the P&L?
It's just about for me. I'm very big on checklists. I'm a very systematic person, which is weird because my actual trading approach, I would say, is more discretionary than systematic. But for me, just having a checklist next to me, it's like, okay, I've got even just simple. My first thing on my checklist is open trading view. I know that sounds really stupid, but it's just I've got very clear the steps, and I'm like, open trading view, open my journal, set up my journal ready for today, get my bookmap levels put on my chart beforehand. So I've got all these different things in place before I trade, and that sort of process just makes me feel proper calm going into it. I've got everything set up, all my levels are ready. I know what I'm looking for. And I've done it before. I've done it before where maybe I've rushed back from work and I've literally not had time to do a lot of my checklists and I'm rushing on. It's 9:46 New York time, or my setup I think has presented. I haven't done everything on my checklist. I enter the trade, it goes against me, I'll lose, and I'll realize, oh, I forgot to do this, I've got to do this. And it just really, really hurts when I don't follow my process. It just helps me keep that calm, peaceful mind. And I think it's absolutely crucial as a trader to just feel super calm, super peaceful before you are trading. And that's what the process does for me. The process just gives me that peace of mind and calmness before my setups present.
And so do you have checklists or check boxes you're marking right before your entry, or is it more about getting into the right frame of mind for the day and then relying on your discretion?
Yeah, so I used to do that. I used to have a checklist for entries, but in all honesty, it was just too complicated, my system, and I've really, really dumbed down my system so much that it's just super, super simple. And I don't really need a checklist for my entries because I'm waiting to get the right side of the VWAPs. That's my number one thing. But then I'm using my discretion because I'm looking at the order flow on bookmap. And if I'm the right side of the VWAPs to the upside, but then the bookmap is really hot below, I'll go, okay, let's hold off here. Let's at least wait for, a rise up, pull back to the VWAPs, and then see if there's going to be any levels come on bookmap. So that's why I'm using my discretion there. So my checklist and process is more so for the pre-trading as such. It's more for the things I'm doing before the 15-minute opening range from the New York session is even set. That's where my checklists are more, and also at the end as well. So once I've finished trading, whether I took a trade or not, I have that checklist at the end of do my journal, tag my trades, all that sort of good stuff, which just allows me to keep on top of what's working, what's not.
That's interesting to me because now I can see that there are some traders that have to use Nick Jocelyn as an example, or you, Dan, a pre-flight checklist where they get everything done pre-flight, and then as they take off into the market, they're ready to go. But then there's people like Lawrence or Christine who have literal check boxes during the market hours that as soon as all 6 are checked, or however many, then that's when they press the entry signal. So Christine, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, I know, Thomas, you brought up wanting to talk about basically the evolution of strategies that we create. And I'm like you, Dan, I started with the VWAP, and I find the VWAP a very discretionary system, mostly because it has so much interaction. So in my mind, because there's so much interaction, you have to use your discretion to decide which time you're engaging with that. So I actually switched away from the VWAP, and I went to a system that is less discretionary, so that, like Thomas said, I can have these check boxes that says, for example, if I'm trading a deviation trade, price has moved outside of my deviation bands. Price has moved back into my deviation bands. I enter. I set my TP here. I set my stop here. It's a simple strategy, and it can be laid out in 5 to 6 steps. And I just check those boxes now. And for me, that's been a lot better. I do think people, you're either going to like a discretionary system or you're going to like it a little bit more systematic. And you kind of have to figure out what one works best for you. But there's also now that I have this strategy, there's still evolution of that strategy. Okay. I have my entries and all this stuff, but how do I grow that even more? How do I get better? You mentioned earlier, you started out with the ASFX or the VWAP trades, but now you've kind of conditioned it to be managed a little bit more how you like it. And how did you do that process from taking an entry that you learned from someone else and then making it your own? Because I think I'm in that at this current moment, trying to figure out how to just mold the strategy to make it better. Doesn't have to win all the time, but just that 1% better for me to manage it, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, For me, like, learning the entry was actually really straightforward. Like, it was just so easy. But in the past year, I'd say the past year, I have been on a proper journey when it comes to my trade management and risk management. And that's where during that journey, I have realized, like, boy, how important those two things are. Like, it's crazy in my mind that there are still traders out there searching on the internet, getting excited when they see a YouTube video which shows that, oh, if you break this EMA and that EMA and that EMA, you buy and you're going to make loads. And, I'm mocking them, but I was one of them. I literally have a memory of seeing a YouTube video where it's like breaking these 3 indicators, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I found it,
Yeah.
and then obviously you backtest it and you realize it's a load of rubbish. But, once you realize there is no holy grail for entries and you find something that works for you and you feel comfortable with, that journey, first of all, risk management, how much are you comfortable risking, finding that sweet dollar amount, finding, what you're going to be comfortable with, I think it sounds so simple, but actually, like, you've got to proper feel the burn to be able to find that sweet spot. But I think for me, the risk management is fine because I risk a similar dollar amount per trade. So that's something I'm comfortable with. That's like my systematic part of my trading, I suppose. But it's our trade management, that's what I've really been playing around with. And I've tried everything, I would say, over the past year and a half. I've tried fixed stop loss, fixed TP. I've tried scaling in different parts of the trade as it goes in my favor. I've tried scaling out as well. I've played around with all these different things. And I kind of think you really probably need to sort of have a go at all of them and stuff. So, my journey with that is just been through trial and error, just feeling what feels right to me, scaling in. I know, Randy, you do it. You scale in, don't you, into your trades? I mean, I've tried it, but when I scale in, my heart is like beating out of my chest. Now, I don't know if that's just a sign that I'm not quite there yet with the confidence in my system. I don't know. But for me, it's just, that's burnt me. And I think I know what my tilt point is for me. I'm very, very clear what my tilt point is. My tilt point is where the market is about to reach my TP. I have scaled in. I'm about to get the best winning trade here ever. I'm going to be well on my way to get a payout. And then boom, the market just goes back in my against me. And then because I've scaled in, it's hurting more and more and more. And then I'm thinking the market is taking that away from me. That is how I have felt so many times. And that just causes me just to feel like I'm just going to place another trade. I'm going to scale up here. I'm going to risk more because I had that money and it's gone and all that. So scaling in for me at the moment is dangerous because I know my tilt point. So I've tried now scaling out of trades and I feel super comfortable with that. Like for me, that's just like, it feels right to me because I'm using bookmap. And it's logical for me that when I see bookmap take a level of orders, I need to be piecing some out, and for me, that's where I'm at the moment, But as you said though, Christine, it's like it's an evolution, and I'm very much accepting that my strategy and my approach is still evolving, and it will continue to evolve, I'm sure.
It's funny you said that, Dan, because today was one of those days where I scaled into a position and it edged my TP twice. And I had to question myself on each one of those pullbacks, like, why am I doing this? Did I make a right decision? Now, I had my stop at break even, but I got to let this idea play out. And then I just remembered that instead of scaling in 5, or 10 micros and doubling my position, I started with 2 micros. And so realistically, I'm only 4 micros into this position. And I gotta be comfortable with just enduring the pain of some drawdown. At the end of the day, I wasn't going to risk any more than the original 2 micro position because I was able to bring my stop up. But I just sat through the trade. And the third time it got to my TP, I was going to actually push my TP up because I think this is going to take off. And I actually said the podcast is going to start. I'm not going to. I'm going to just get out of this trade. And I took 10 points out of the trade, and I'm still sitting in another trade at the moment. that I got in on a different set of accounts, and I'm just like, now I have to leave it. I can't really, there's not much I can do about it, right? But that one I didn't add into the position, so it is what it is. I'll let it play out, and my stop is, I got a fair bit of room below us, so.
But this
This
is
is more, yeah.
sorry, it's an interesting argument. Okay, you have a TP set, and you're at the point to where you might be getting edged, like let's say 2 points away from your profit. Do you take it or do you leave it?
So in my defense, quickly, Thomas, in my defense, both times I was literally not even present in the trade because I was on a call, and it was like an in-depth call where it was just like I couldn't do both. Like right now, I can't focus on the trade and have this conversation with you guys. So something's got to give. So both those times I missed it, but there was also a part of me that was like, I get what you're saying, Christine, because it's like if I was actively on stream and it edged me by 2 points my TP, I probably would have took my profits.
Yeah, it's a good
Right.
question.
So it's for me, it's depending on the situation I'm in at the moment. Can I be committed to the trade and manage it to that level? Or if I can't, then it's like, okay, I got to be okay with what I'm doing, right? And my tilt for me, like Dan, my tilt for me is my second and third trade is tilt. So if my first trade is mismanaged, it leads to the second and third trades or blowups, and I'm done. Right?
Well,
and
you lead me right into this, Randy. My answer on the whole is it you take the take profits, you just close it out, is you've got to see your thesis through. And also, I love this conversation because everyone's different. Dan's like, I'm getting tilted when it's about to hit my TP, and that's when I'm like, fucking let's keep going, you know? Like I'm like so off. Like my tilt is so different to Dan's, and that's so interesting. But for me, the worst possible outcome for my trades is me closing the trade before my thesis is seen through, and then the trade completing the thesis. That is the worst trade outcome for me personally.
So, okay, let me get this straight. You're in a winning trade, okay? It's looking like you're going to hit TP and you're about 2 points away. But it is edging.
At that point, my stop is already trailed. My stop's already in profit.
Okay, but I just want to finish this thought. So your worst outcome is if you take that profit and you miss 2 points of your move. That's like a bad thing.
2 points, not necessarily, but 4 points or 5 points. So,
okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so when it's at 2 points from my take profit, I'm already trailing. Like I've already locked in money. So it's like if I close it, if I'm trading the double break trade, bottom of range to top of range, and I close the trade before it breaks opening range high, like that is the worst possible trading outcome. I'd rather take a loss than reward the bad behavior. Jared Tendler. I hope we can have Jared Tendler on this podcast because his book is fantastic, and he really reinforces when you do an action that's not process focused, and you get rewarded for it. You're just reinforcing bad habits, and I don't want to reinforce a bad habit. I want to be able to see my theses through because trading the same damn asset for 2 years, I see the thesis. Like the thesis plays out more often than not.
So Dan,
and I was just going to say we need to add a little footnote to that, is that 2 points it's got to be in context to what 2 points is, right? If you're going for 20 points and you don't take profit at 18, well, hey, but if you're going for 5 and you don't take profit at 3, well, that's 40% of your trade.
Who just goes for 5 points?
Randy?
I do.
Yeah, I do sometimes. Depending on where the levels are on bookmap.
Yeah.
Like if I see a hot level on bookmap and it takes those orders, I'll start piecing some of my trade out.
I'm just saying, like, I don't want people to think that, like, when we talk about the 2 points, that it's like, you know, if you got 18 points out of your 20-point trade and you didn't take profits, well, I'm going to say you're being silly, like me personally. But now on the flip side, if you're, 8 points and that's 25% of your profit, then it's something to think about.
Yeah, I'm thinking like you've made 95% of your profit.
Yes, and that's exactly why I wanted to bring it up.
All the time.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, is because I know that's what you were trying to say, and I wanted to make sure people understand that, because 100% I agree with Christine then in that sense.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, another thing I've been thinking about quite a bit recently is I've gotten out of this like negative thought cycle. And the way, Dan, that you talked about this acceptance of the evolution of your trading strategy, have you stayed positive the whole time? Have you had some negative periods? You know, what is that realistically been like for you?
Yeah, it's been hard. Like, you know, I think for me in my context, like my day job is hard. Like it's very, very demanding. And then I'm coming back in the evening and I'm getting myself ready to trade. And I'll take a loss, you know, and it'll be a loss that I that was a bad loss. Didn't, you know, broke my rules completely and stuff. For me, what's kind of got me through that, first of all, is willingness to journal afterwards, which is hard. That's really hard. But for me, I'm not treating it like a business. I'm not taking it seriously if I don't do that. So even if I've had a long day at work and I've just been an ass on the charts and taking a rubbish trade, I've got to do that journaling. Number one, that's one thing first that helps me. But in all honesty, I couldn't have done this without my wife, which sounds so weird, but for me, like, she has been my absolute rock through all of this. Like, she has been fully supportive of me from the very first moment. I started, we moved to Abu Dhabi, and she first noticed me looking at charts when we're sitting in a coffee shop outside in Abu Dhabi, and she's kind of, oh, what's that? And then I remember her reaction at first, but it was not all that supportive. She's like, I'll just invest the money and stuff, which actually is damn good advice for most people. Just put the money into an ETF and you'd probably be better off for a lot of newbie traders. But she saw over the months and over the years, like, how hard I was working towards it. I was living and breathing it, like literally thousands of chart markups, listening to countless podcasts, reading, listening to books whenever I can, just living and breathing it. And she's seen that commitment that I put into it, and she's just been absolutely amazing. Like, she's actually a weirdly good coach. It sounds weird because she's got no coaching experience. She doesn't really know much, although she does know a bit about trading by now, because she has to listen to me talk about it, because I don't really talk about it to anybody else. But just her just being there for me on those days when I get very, very frustrated, she'll come to me and she'll go, it's okay, it's all right, and everything. And I remember there was one trade where I scaled in and it went against me. And that was the last time I ever scaled in, because it was a horrible, horrible trade. And she actually said to me, she's like, so it went all the way up here and you didn't take any money? And I'm like, no, because I'm scaling. You don't understand. This is my system. And she's like, that's mad. Like, you've got the profits here. Just take some off. And then I had another trade setup come on, and she sat next to me, and the trade went in my favor very quickly. And she's like, take some damn profits, take some off. And I'm like, okay, you know. And it's just little things like that. She's just been amazing. So for me, getting through the lows, because there have been plenty of lows, you know, I've blown plenty of accounts in my time. I've made really stupid decisions. You know, in my journal, I can go back to some journal notes where I've just wrote, you are an idiot, you know, in big capital letters, because that's all I could feel about writing that day, and that because it was just so bad. But just her being there is just so important, because I think if it's just me, I think I would have blown up more for sure. So I think it is very important you do have somebody who, you know, may not be a trading expert, but believes in you, you know, which I know is hard, because I know Rebecca had her husband who was not very supportive at all. And I can't imagine how difficult that was. But for me, just having someone there, super, super important.
I think that's something that the four of us have in common. Like, the four of us, and the reason we're still here and we talk about trading in the way we do and the light we do is because the four of us. It sounds like Dan, same thing, but I know Thomas and Christine, like the three of us have amazing supportive partners that once someone believes in you, it's real, right? And that's all you need. You need someone to believe in you. and the rest just you're going to want to put in the work to make it successful. And while we're talking about that, I actually wanted to ask you, Dennis. I know Thomas works technically full-time, but not full-time. But as someone that works 5 days a week, and I've never got to ask anybody this question on the pod, you know, and you've been a teacher for a while, your job's pretty secure, I would imagine. And you know what you're going to make and where you are sitting financially. Was there ever a point trading where you were just like thinking of like, this is not for me? I'm going to be okay that I have my job. My job pays the bills. You know, we're comfortable. We're living in Abu Dhabi, and you know, we're enjoying life. So it's like, did you ever go through that? Because I mean, there's a lot of people that watch this podcast that think to themselves, you know, they work their job and they're happy, and they know that if they gave up trading, that, you know, they would still live the life that they're okay with at the moment. Did you ever go through that kind of stuff?
No.
Yeah. See?
You know, I've got a very good job here. We've got a very good life here. There's no doubt about that. I am not one of these traders who's, you know, living in mum's basement, living off beans on toast. You know, it's kind of like we have got a good life here, but it's one of those where I knew when I came across trading all those years ago, and I started watching YouTube videos, and I started listening to some, you know, I know there's lots of bad sort of people in the trading space who give, you know, who are not great for newbie traders, but I actually listened to some very good people on YouTube, and the things they were describing that a trader needed to be, I was like, I could do that. That's kind of me already. It's like, so you need to be super calm. You need to be, you know, a bit systematic in how you work. You need to be level-headed. I was like, tick, tick, tick. Okay, I've got a lot of these already. That's a good sign. And I think, I mean, it's going to sound arrogant, but I think I knew from the very, very start that I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work. And I know that sounds silly.
Because I have that.
Yeah.
It's that self-belief.
For sure.
And
But I think as a trader, I think you need that delusional belief. And it's delusional because if you ask me, why do I honestly believe that I'm going to make it in this? I've got no major, you know, I've got a few payouts. That's about it. Apart from that, I don't have much else to show you. Like I don't have a consistent monthly income or anything like that. So you could argue it's delusional belief. But I think as a trader, you almost need that, because through those first few years that you're learning, you're not going to have much success. You know, there's not going to be people cheering you on. You're going to have to be your own cheerleader. You're going to have that self-belief that's going to get you through those incredibly tough times. And that's where I've just always known, like, I can do this, and I will never give up. I will keep going, you know.
But I love that. And that's
so good.
I think more people need to hear that. Like for me, it was a little bit different because I just went almost pretty much all in from the get-go when I said I wanted to do this, but I was fortunate enough to be in a position where I was able to do that. So but I want people to hear it from other people, like how Thomas is just like, I'm doing this. Like there's no coming back, and hearing you saying it, that, you know, and for me, everything that you said, I had none of those things. I wasn't calm. I had zero discipline when I first started, and it was like, you know, I'm not level-headed. I am now, hopefully, but I just always was interested in the markets and said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. And then once I got into it, and obviously got surrounded with the people I'm around to this day, is kept me in it. But it's cool for people watching this to hear you say that you never were like, oh, I'm content with my life and the job I have, that I can just stop doing this, where you just like, you had that self-belief that, hey, I'm going to make it. And I think other people will be like, I have that belief in myself too. And it's just, you know, it's that little bit of like, just that motivation that one person needs to hear, right? Like you saying it to me gets me super excited.
I love that you said delusional self-belief. Like that hits me hard, because I'm like Randy, I was none of those things. And you know, the great thing about trading is you can learn to be those things, which I think is amazing. But I was none of that. I got obsessed with it. And like, I can hear it in your voice. You like found this passion for it. And same, like up to this point, like there is nothing that is proving to me that I'm going to make it in trading. right now. Like no payouts, you know what I mean? But I still know, like same, like Thomas said, like I'm never quitting. Like you said, like we're just not quitting. Like the delusional self-belief is so strong. And like that hit me hard when you just said that.
Because I get it. Like I've told myself this too, but then I also, because if only 1% of traders really make money, and probably only 0.5% of traders make life-changing money, if that, that is delusional to expect that. However, what I think like puts the boat, like weighs the other side of this, is everyone who's ever made it has been right where we are, if not worse off. So it's like, it's delusional, but it's also expected. So it's this really weird middle ground where that's what's kept me. I mean, knowing that has kept me in the game this long, because as someone who started trading when they were 21, and up until that point, I have basically achieved the highest caliber of any skill that I started to do. And the only one that I like wasn't ever at the top at, but was close to, was soccer my whole life. And that kicked that, I was just never the best at soccer, but I never worked the hardest either. And everything else just came so naturally to me. But not trading. Trading, I've had to work at very hard. And I'm 100% sure that if I did not get into trading with the right mindset of like, this is going to take years, I wouldn't be here, because I would have given up already, for sure.
For sure. But it's quite interesting, you guys saying that, trading has allowed you to make those improvements in yourself and improve yourself. It's for me saying like at the beginning, like, oh yes, I'm disciplined, I've got a calm mind and all that. I will say that trading will bring out even the smallest of flaws. So even knowing I am naturally a calm person, trading finds a way to nitpick at those little flaws, and it can bring out those little things that you thought you were a super calm person, but maybe you were a relatively calm person. And trading's kind of done that for me. So, for me, like, I've definitely become a much all-round better person as a result of trading. What I thought were my strengths were definitely my strengths, but I've improved those even more now because of trading. So, which has been nice.
I do love that. It really is just an interpersonal journey. Like for me, what I noticed the most is like my emotional volatility. I've been able to gain so much control over that. And like when I was younger, I feel like I would get really frustrated really quickly. And I've been able to really tone that down. And now giving myself, I just keep going back to this process thing, because I'm so bought in on process right now. And because like sitting in this long, oh yeah, this was something I wanted to mention too about the added, because I believe, and I'll say I believe because it's not factual, but with my strategy, when we make certain new levels, this now becomes a 70% setup. It now becomes an 80% setup. And I have to look at it like that, because when I do add into a trade, initially it sucks. It's hard, and you add in, you get a shittier price, you put on more risk. But then I would call this is now a 70% setup, because we've created this new level of structure, or we've taken this next level. And that is what really helps me with the add-ins. And I just want to pass it off to you, Dan. Any thoughts, as well as have you read Best Loser Wins?
3 times I think I've listened to that now. So I know that book very, very well. And I think
do you remember the part of the book where it says the first time you add in, you'll fall flat on your face?
Yeah. But he also says as well, doesn't he? It's like, if you feel uncomfortable doing it, it's probably the right thing to do. If I remember that quote correctly from the book. So if you've like scaled in and it's making you feel a bit, that's a good thing. And I don't know about that. I'm still undecided on that because, you know, as I've said to you from the beginning, I like to feel calm and collective, and that's when I perform best. So Tom Hugard telling me, you got to crank it up, you got to feel really uncomfortable to get the best out of you. I'm like, I don't know.
Hey,
I don't
man.
know. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Though it's just like it's so open-ended trading with how you can make it in this game. You know.
Yeah. Did you know that we went to an LA conference and heard him speak live?
Yes, yeah, I saw all about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to go to things like this. It's just not possible for me.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Fly from over there? It's like what, 24 hours or something?
And what tell my school? It's like, oh yeah, sorry, I can't teach the class today because I'm off to LA. So you know, someone else teach the class. Yeah,
so we just need to make some money. We need to get you a clone. Then we'll throw the clone in the classroom. No one will even know. You can jump on the private jet on the Behind the Charts podcast jet, and you can fly down.
we need a really good sponsor for that.
Well, just my final thoughts. I've been thinking a lot about the Jared Tendler inchworm concept, and I was actually talking to Megan about this yesterday, and she thought it was great. That in trading, you can only expect your worst performance, and you have to work really hard to be at your best.
Mm-hmm.
I would just go around the table. Like, does anyone implement this into their workflow? Let's kick it off with Randy, because I also just want to hear about your trading, Randy, because last week was a little tough, and we're coming into a better week here.
So, ask me the question again. Like, how do I incorporate the worst of me into my?
You can only expect your worst performance. So how do you, or do you at all, have rules around that so that, you know, if you're at your worst, you're still okay?
I don't have an answer to this question. Because I do have rules, but like last week I broke a bunch of rules, and I don't know. I think like, and you guys hear this like every third podcast. I'm in like the stage of discovery, and not necessarily strategy or anything. It's just like discovering something, like whether it's like some form of discipline. And right now I'm controlling everything off the desk as best as I can, and I'm doing a good job. And then when I'm on the desk, and today I had a great day. Yesterday was a green day too. I think I can't even remember, but. I'm just what I'm trying to do now is, and I said this yesterday in a post, is focus on the worst parts of me off the desk that I can control, i.e., you know, it could be like whether it's like eating junk food or binge eating, going to the gym, not even going to the gym. Now I'm at a point where it's like I'm having these workouts, strength training workouts that I've never experienced in my life. And I did them by myself. So I'm burning more calories than ever. I feel sore, but a good sore. I'm sleeping through the night. And so it's like, I guess I'm mentally preparing for the worst coming to the charts, and all the time that I'm spending off the charts doing things I can control. And then realizing like I wanted to, and Christine probably knows the quote because Andrew has it tattooed on him, but and I was saying this to Hillary yesterday, is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Kind of scenario where now it's like when I can control what I can control, I need to control the best I possibly can, and I need to have the discipline to do that, because now when I'm in a trade and the market's going to throw me a curveball, I'm okay with it and I can walk away. And I think last week I wasn't okay with those things because I thought that I had all these other things going for me, that I should be in control of Trump tweeting something, or you know, adding into a position when I shouldn't. You know what I mean? There's things that's like I can control, and there's things I can't control. So more or less, like that's kind of where I am, into my workflow. If that kind of fits into your question, but not really. You know,
yeah, it does. I know my question was kind of vague. It's like more of like,
you know, what I'm trying to say, right? Like, and again, like, and this is trading, and I'm going to be we're all going to be coming onto our second year of trading, and it's like I'm in this discovery phase if it's something different or something that. So
for sure,
I am working on that. I'm not at my peak performance. This week, my husband's away. I have cockroaches falling on my face at night. Like things, real story. I'm just not at my best, and I can feel it. So I'm trying to basically figure out, how do I make that worst performance just a little bit better? Like, how do I don't know if it's put like training wheels on or basically just find a way that I can like help this worst performance just be a little bit better so that it evens out the balance a little bit more. Like last week I had great performance until I didn't, but overall I want my better performance to outweigh my bad performance. So how do I make these times just a little bit better? So like overall the curve goes up more. Does that make sense?
It certainly does. That's exactly what Jared Tendler says to do. It's he describes it as an inchworm. You have your C game, your A game, and your B game. And to move your A game forward, you have to move your C game forward. So then the C game moves forward, then your A game, and you kind of do this little hop until you're so content with your C game.
And to be honest, I've never really understood Jared Tendler's like his point. I haven't even read the full book, but I started reading it and I couldn't like figure out like what he was actually explaining probably until this week, until it has now made sense to me and I can see it. I can understand it so better. So maybe it's actually a good point for me to go read that book because now I can relate it to something and I can see it myself. But until this week, I have never truly, like whenever we talk about it, I'm always like, yeah, totally. And I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. But now I actually feel like I do.
I feel like that's the thing about trading books, and especially like a deep trading book like Jared Tendler's is like you have to be ready to accept it and like be able to use that information. And if it's not aligned, because like the first time I read it, it was great, it checked boxes, it made sense to me, but I had no idea how to incorporate it. But then after like, okay, read Best Loser Wins, make the strategy whole, it's complete. Now make the mental game whole, complete, like everything's like churning and working in a nice system. Dan, give it to us. How do you work on your mental game, your C game?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, with the books, I think it's important to say that, for newbie traders who are trying to read these trading books, you will find some trading books are better for you at certain points of your journey. So like, there's some books you'll read at the beginning of the journey, but you're not ready for those yet. And all the lessons you're going to want to take from them, you're not ready to take it all. And then you'll read that same book a year or two into your journey. And it's like, whoa, it just starts making a bit more sense now. And I think traders have to accept they're going to have to revisit books. I think you should revisit books, because those lessons will really sink in, just like Christine said with the mental game of training. But for me, to try and that inchworm effect, to try and look after my C game, I'm always thinking to myself, plan on the plan, not going according to plan. I'm telling myself that all the time because it can just go so wrong in the charts when you're trading, and you can just go on a spiral so quickly. Simply for me to just protect myself from the worst of my C game, I have very strict risk settings in my trading now. But that is my systematic part of my trading, that I'm stopping the tilting as much as possible. So for me, it's like I've got a fixed dollar max daily loss for the day. It's not too tight, but it's not too far away. That allows me 2 possible attempts in my day. If I take 2 losses, I'm done. Because I know after 2 losses, and if I'm allowed to, I will be a degenerate and I will continue to trade and I will continue to take losses, and I could potentially blow accounts. So for me at the moment, just to stop that worst part of me, is just those risk settings, which to be fair now, because of like Project X and even Tradeovate now, you can put those in, automate them, and it just protects you from yourself. Like, I don't know about you, I hate it when a max daily loss hits and I can't, and I'm locked out and I'm like, but I could possibly take one more trade here and I could put it all back. No, shut up, Dan. Get off the desk and go and have a good evening, and it sucks at the time, but it is protecting me from myself. And actually, I started putting those risk settings in properly I would say middle of September, and I haven't had a max daily loss day since then.
Oh, wow.
Which is really, really, really great. It will come. I'm a bit scared at the moment because it hasn't come in so long. So when it does come, it's going to come with full fury, and I'm going to probably feel a bit. The emotions are probably going to come, you know, because I think I've been on a streak recently. I'm very prepared for that. So for me, my answer is just to protect myself in my C game. Is just those sort of risk settings, automated, no soft ones. And I think TradeAvate now, I think they've done the automated
have it on
ones. They didn't used to be.
That's cool.
Yeah, I use NinjaTrader. I have it on like my cash account. I have it on right now. So I have a setting as well. I think, but like I've been with other cash firms that don't have a broker stop loss. So NinjaTrader does. Yeah, guaranteed your worst performance. And just one more plug from Jared Tendler that was really interesting to me. I heard the other day was when you like the emotions hijack your brain, and those moments where we are actively doing something else than what our brain is telling us because we're in a stage of emotion, we don't have control over. We literally don't have control over our brain once a certain level of emotional hormones or whatever it is released. And that is why you need the stop losses, the broker stop losses, because if you reward the bad behavior of hitting a max loss, opening that up, and then getting green on the day, you have just rewarded the worst possible behavior that you can do in your trading. And yeah, it sounds like all of us are trying to do the right thing here and just take it one step at a time, process focus, which is great to hear. Great to hear. Well, on that note, this has been a fantastic conversation. Dan, really, really appreciate it. We'll put all of your stuff in the link below. And with that all being said, any final remarks?
No, just for me, thank you so much for having me on. Like, I genuinely enjoyed the conversations. Like, it's great. My wife has been able to take a break from listening to me talk about trading, so I can actually talk to other people about trading. So that's been really good. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Cheers, everybody. Have a great trading week.